I guess it's been 13 years now. I loaded up about 2 boxes in a suitcase. I didn't have any kind of a plan whatsoever. I went to help a friend of mine in Florida. I knew that wasn't going to be the permanent place I would stay. Would it be? These bagels, I tell you what. But it was a place to get out of where I was in, the situation I was in. I was going through a divorce and I needed somewhere to go. I needed a place to regroup. And ended up coming here to Arkansas. And after a short time of being here, I found this property for $10,500. Girls. And it always had a pack of dogs with it. Now the house was not livable. Now if you've been on my channel a while, you've seen the videos. The house was not livable, but it had land. And the land was full of trash, had to be cleaned, had to be molded to what I wanted. And those days now of buying a piece of property like I was getting, like I got, are long gone. You're not going to find them. However, there are properties out there you could pick up a whole lot cheaper than somewhere else. But what this video is about is a lot of people are struggling today by their own actions. They are doing things in their lifestyle has reached a point where it's breaking them. Just stopping in the Starbucks every morning. What is that? $5, $10? Maybe they do that, something like that, twice a day. People spend their money on ridiculous, unnecessary items, You can make your own cup of coffee at home. Get you a washable mug. Take that with you in the morning. People like to stop at the McDonald's. They like to stop at the drive-thrus. Spend $10 here, $10 there. Well, that adds up after a while, and you get into those kind of spending habits, yeah, you're going to be struggling. Now, I haven't had a mortgage in, I think I paid this place off in 2020. The way I did that is I was working at a ranch, and he could only, because of the type of ranch it was, he would sell chickens. And our customers, they would come from all over the world, roosters and chickens, and nobody could travel at that time. And he couldn't pay me my regular wage, so he said, I can only give you $300 cash a week. The rest we'll put towards the house, because he loaned me the money to get the house. And so I worked as many hours as I could. I got the house paid off. It wasn't much that I owed, but I got it paid off. And so I didn't have a mortgage. Nobody to tell me, hey, where's my monthly payment for you to live there? If there's one thing human beings hate, it's having to pay to live somewhere. It is so much nicer when you own it free and clear, and you don't have that hanging over your head. I had bought a Chevy pickup a couple years before that for $1,500. I'm still driving it today. Still driving it, same motor. Minimal, very minimal maintenance on that thing. I probably put $1,000 in the 11 years I've had that truck. What are you eating? Acorns, really? I tell you what. But it got me around. It got me around. It allowed me to haul lumber to renovate this house. And when I say renovate, I don't mean I just spent a bunch of money, went and got a bunch of lumber. No, I would buy $40 one week worth of lumber, $20 worth. Maybe one week I would buy a spool of wire for my electrical, or I would buy plumbing supplies. This process is still going on today, but it took me about 3 years to get it livable. And in the meantime, I lived in a old $900 fifth wheel that I bought, 1980 Jayco, that I pulled up right next to the house. I ran the septic, I ran the sewer line into the septic tank. I ran hot water from a water heater that I had hooked up in the house. I ran that through a garden hose, insulated it into the fifth wheel so I could take a hot shower. You have to come up with ways to make do, you know. I didn't live high on the hog. There was weeks I ate nothing but beans. I gained quite a bit of weight over those years because I had injured myself and my activities were limited. The point is, people will complain that they are struggling. And you see this all the time. And then you look at their house. I mean, their house was probably got a $2,500 a month mortgage. Did they have to buy something that expensive? Couldn't they have bought something that was maybe 30, 40, 50 years old and work on it over time? They could have, but they chose not to. So a lot of people that are complaining that they are struggling, it's by their own decisions. So if, you know, a lot of people today, and believe me, there are many people out there that think like I do, that, hey, let's make my own coffee in the morning and not stop at Starbucks, and we'll pocket that. And one way I could save money that I thought, you know, was easiest for me, number one, out here where I live, there's just not a lot of places to spend your money. So I would put that into the house, but I would usually get maybe $20 or $30 worth of $1 bills every single payday. $1 bills. And I would put that into a stack. And that stack over a couple of years got pretty darn big. And I was able to take that and buy some building supplies. And I don't do that anymore, but that is a good way to save if you're not real good with money, because you're not as tempted to dish out $51 bills or go, you know. It's just a good way to save. You can even get rolls of quarters and bust them open. Yeah, it's a pain when you go to cash them in. But it was just one way I had of saving. But what you have to do is take whatever property you're on and make it to where you could stay busy there. That it's exciting for you. You know, most people that live in cities or in neighborhoods, they just have a house with normal furniture and normal things in their rooms, and there's nothing other than watching TV or being on a computer that's interesting. So when they want to do something interesting, they get in their car and they go and they find something interesting to do. I liked walking trails, so I built walking trails on my yard because there are so many rocks here. All I had to do was really kick the rocks over and put them in a line, and I've got almost 1,000 feet of walking trails that I can walk around my property in. You have to think of things like that. And at the same time, I got those rocks out of the way. And it's, you know, I've been working at, what's going to happen is it's going to be, you know, 20 years of working, and then I'm going to croak, and then somebody's really going to enjoy this place the way I wanted to. And I know that's how it's going to work, but, you know, it keeps me busy, and it keeps me out of debt. Now, the only bills, you know, really debt that I have now, and I purchased a new vehicle, never had one, and I have that figured in to my income, and I can afford to do that. But other than that, I don't owe anybody anything. I have no debts to anybody or any companies other than my car payment, which I am making more than double payments on. I want to pay that off in a quarter of the time that I financed it for. And that's the first time I've ever done that. And you just have to find ways to keep yourself busy at home. Yes, you can go out and meet with friends and do things occasionally, but there are people who claim to be struggling. They're going out to eat 4 to 5 times a week. They're running around town wasting gas, and you know, they don't know how to occupy their time. It's not hard to do. And you do not have to have all kinds of material items in your home. Just live with the basics. I lived for years in there I didn't even have a kitchen. I just had a Walmart table with an air fryer and a burner top and a refrigerator. I could still prepare my meals. I had a crock pot. I could still make just about any meal I wanted. I didn't look fancy, but I was still living fancy in my mind because it was something I was doing on my own. That is the most satisfying part, is if you are doing it on your own. That's much better than going to a neighborhood where they just finished building a bunch of houses and looking at floor plans of something somebody else built. And you don't even know what quality of craftsmanship went into that. And a lot of times, I mean, my parents just bought a house probably, I don't know, 7-8 years ago that was brand new. They had it built. And they're finding all kinds of problems. The doors don't shut properly. This is something wrong with this and that. So you just never know what you're going to get when these kind of homes that go up like that are built. They're built quickly too, because they don't like working in the cold. And you don't know how long, how long was this thing sitting out in the rain before it was dried in. You don't know those kinds of things. But so many people, the first thing they do is they start going and they finance furniture. They'll buy all this expensive stuff to put in there rather than to wait and get that over time. People are too impatient today. They don't want to wait for all that stuff. So what they end up doing is getting all this financed, and then when payday comes, they got $2 left. Man, I got no money no more. We can't go out but more than 4 times this week. You don't have to be like that, do they, Tilly? And you eat pretty good from the looks of you, yes? And yeah, get yourself some dogs and some critters. They'll keep you occupied and busy. She's confused right now because the time has changed. So it's supper time, but it's not supper time. You don't care about no clocks. Your belly clock. Now, this belly clock is telling you it's supper time, but it isn't. Where'd your sister go? So I live pretty happy out here. You just get used to it, Once you make an effort to break from all the things that you're doing now, and I'm not saying you have to lead a complete life as a hermit and be bored all the time, but eliminate some of these things. Eliminate them a little at a time. You go to Starbucks every morning, quit going. Find you a brand of coffee. Even if it's expensive, you're still going to be paying a lot less. Find a brand you like and master the right way to make it. Then take your coffee to work with you in the morning. You've eliminated quite a bit of money if you're used to going there every day. You can put that money in, get $1 bills and put it in a sock. I didn't use a sock. I didn't think of it. I think I used a coffee can. I don't know. I had a big box too that I put it in, and I stuck it up inside of a wall. I don't do that no more, that money hoarding. No. But living life debt-free is a whole lot better than struggling. Thanks for watching. Happy trails.